Hello, everyone. On today's podcast, I'm going to talk about, intelligence and knowledge because I think people get this confused a lot. Many people actually think, going to school, getting a degree. Many people think schools, let me rephrase it. Many people think schools grant people intelligence. But the truth is, an intelligent person was born intelligent. Schools only give you knowledge, which is not the same thing as intelligence. Knowledge is, how many planets there are. That's knowledge. What's your feet called? What's the name of your feet? What's the name of your, what's your feet called? What's this place called? What's this planet called? What's the name of this planet? This is what schools teach you. Schools do not teach you intelligence. And intelligent people do not have to go to school. There's so many intelligent people in this world, and not all of them have the money or the time or the energy to go to school. At the same time, I'm not saying, people who go to school are not intelligent. I'm just saying that intelligence is something you're born with. People are either born intelligent or not. People are either born, very intelligent, average intelligence, or very low intelligence. People like using the, IQ as a way to measure intelligence, but I don't like the whole IQ system, man. I think it's more of a measuring stick, an illusion. I don't believe in the IQ system in any way, shape, or form. Not because, I think it measures something, but I think it's too arbitrary, because we don't have a full grasp of what intelligence is already. The scientific world doesn't fully understand, hasn't even fully understood the human body yet. Yet we already have a full understanding of intelligence itself. You may think I'm lying, but it's the truth. Just recently, a new organ in the human body was discovered. After so many years, after hundreds of years, after thousands of years, we finally just decided, we finally just discovered a new organ in the human body. That's to let you know that even the human body is not fully understood yet. And the human body is it can be quantized, can be measured, perfectly. We can take machines and measure every single part of the human body. We can see every single part of the human body with our naked eyes, except for the cells. Even with the cells, with a microscope, we can see it. But intelligence is not something you can really see, And if we can't, if it's something that we can see, like the DNA and the human body and cells, if these things that we can see, right, we don't have a full understanding of the things we can see. How do you really believe these scientists understand the full extent of what intelligence really means? Do you really think they have a full grasp of what intelligence really means? And if they don't have a full grasp of what intelligence really means, then what basis are they using to determine who's more intelligent and who's less intelligent? You still have to understand that from the point of view of science, we still don't have a full understanding of how the human mind works yet. If we don't have a full understanding of how the human mind works, how are we going to, who's the one deciding who's more intelligent, who's less intelligent? How do you really fully determine who's truly more intelligent and who's truly less intelligent when the human mind isn't fully understood yet? Even the concept of intelligence isn't fully grasped yet. The things that we can physically see, the things that we can physically test, like the human body, is already so mind-bogglingly difficult to fully grasp. If we were that good at understanding the human body, we would have already figured out how to cure cancer, all these genetic defects that the human body has, and that just tells you that should show you that the human scientists do not have a full grasp of the human body in any way, shape, or form. we have a good grasp of it, some parts of it, but there's no way, the scientists can just come out and say we have 100% understanding of the human body, because we don't. The people that thought we had 100% of human body, you know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, are now wrong, because now, scientists have discovered a new organ within the human body that we didn't even know we had to begin with. And this is the human body we're talking about, things that we can physically see, right? The human body is something that we can physically see, yet we still don't have a full understanding of it. Back when I was growing up, the prevailing thought of science was that I think the appendix, or the appendix was a vestigial organ. You know, that was back then. Now scientists have ended up, after many years of research, they end up finding out, nope, the appendix isn't a vestigial organ that has no use. It actually has use. So there's so many parts of the human body that science still hasn't fully understood yet, and this is the parts of the human bodies that we can see. Intelligence is a whole nother field that's, maybe even larger than the human body in general. Yet we're already jumping to the conclusion that we have a full understanding of what it means to be intelligent, and what traits determine when someone is intelligent or not. When we don't have a full understanding of the human body, the physical human body, how are we, going to who are you going to, believe when they say they have a full understanding of what intelligence really is? How are you going to Why are you going to listen to some random stranger tell you that, yes, I have a full understanding? Me and my group of people, me and my group of scientists, we have a full understanding of of what intelligence truly means. And now we're going to give you a quotient, intelligence quotient, or IQ, a rubric, or a test that tells you what determines what's intelligent, what isn't. How are you going to determine what's truly intelligent or not? Just being able to build cars doesn't make you more intelligent. Why? Because the desire to build cars and intelligence are not mutually, they're not, they're not, it's not something that, let me just say, they're mutually exclusive. People who desire to build cars may not be that intelligent. People who desire to build planes and things like that may not be that intelligent. Do you know why? Because each person is different. Every person has their own desires. Intelligence does not automatically drive you to build cars. Intelligence does not automatically drive you to build houses. What someone likes to do is what they like to do. Their intelligence helps them get to their end goal. Being intelligent will help you solve your problems, but what your problems are, it depends on the person itself. Someone who likes to play music will use their intelligence to create music, musical instruments and musical notes and songs and ballads and all that. Someone who doesn't like building cars, no matter how intelligent they are, will not build cars. You understand? So intelligence, just because someone is capable of building cars or houses and things like that, doesn't necessarily mean they're more intelligent. They're more intelligent than someone that doesn't like doing that. Someone who doesn't like building cars doesn't like building cars. Someone who doesn't like building cars may like, running more. Someone who doesn't like building cars may like building, computers. You see? But just because they don't like building cars does not mean they're less intelligent than you are. Just because they don't like building AI generated, cars, or AI powered cars, and blah blah blah, does not mean they're less intelligent than you are. It just means they're not interested in what you're interested in. People are born with different desires, different traits, different, likes and dislikes. Not everybody who's intelligent likes to build cars. Not everybody who's intelligent likes to build, extremely complicated structures like, houses with, heat sensors and all these, gadgets inside of it. Some people use their intelligence in different ways. You can't force someone who's intelligent to start building cars because they're intelligent. If they don't want to build cars, they don't have to. Maybe the person that's intelligent wants to build bombs. You see, intelligence does not automatically make you, just make you desire certain things. It just makes it easier for you to solve your problems. If you desire to build cars as an intelligent person, it'll be easier for you to build it than someone who's not as intelligent. If you desire, to be a good boxer, your intelligence will help you, win more fights than people who aren't good boxers. That people versus people who are less intelligent than you are. But it comes back to the point that I had, at the very beginning. Intelligence is something that you're born with. It's not something that you can gain from school. And the reason why I say that is that if you take a chimpanzee, right, and you take him through all these Ivy League schools, do you think the Ivy League schools will make him as smart as a human being? Do you think a chimpanzee, if he goes to college, will make him as smart as a human being? Do you think an Ivy League school is capable of turning a chimpanzee into a genius, as smart as a human being? Most people will say no, because the truth is, it is impossible for it, unless they do some sort of genetic mutation, some engineering in the brain of the chimpanzee. It is impossible for schools to turn a chimpanzee to teach a chimpanzee until it becomes as smart as a human being. It is impossible to teach someone with Down syndrome to be as smart as someone without Down syndrome. There are people born without brains. Yeah, there are people born with the birth defects that gives them no brains. They were born without brains. Do you think if a human being that's born without a brain, that can barely function in this world, is given, is taught by the greatest Ivy League school in the world, do you think that person will become smart? Do you think that person will become a normal human being? Will be able to function like a normal human being because it went to an Ivy League school? See, that's the bottleneck. Schools have a bottleneck. Schools are, the perspective of schools is to make sure many people pass. If more people fail a school than pass, right? The school, will be seen as a bad school that's incapable of teaching their students. Because of that, schools must always tailor their rubrics, the curriculum, towards making sure that many people pass. So let's just say the schools aren't there to teach you, aren't there to vet how smart you are. They're there to make sure that enough people pass. That way the school doesn't look bad. You understand? There's a conflict of interest there. If the schools were created to make sure that only geniuses pass the test, right? 90% of people will fail the school, will fail their classes. Because of that, and if 90% of people fail the classes, right, the school will be shut down, because there's no school in this world that that can continue to go on if 90% of the school if 90% of the students fail. So the schools cannot teach cannot have the curriculum tailored to geniuses who learn very fast. They have to tailor their curriculum to people who aren't as smart as, the average Americans, who aren't the average, not just Americans, but just the average people who aren't as smart as, you think they are. Otherwise, the schools will shut down. So no matter how great you think schools are, in the end, there's a conflict of interest. If a school is tailored for only geniuses, right? People who are born smart, most people will fill their classes. But if they're tailored towards normal folks, then many people will pass. But then at that point in time, whoever passes, is part of the average Joe. If they tell this classes to an average Joe, that means the average Joe passes average Joe will pass the school's test. But because of that, the school can no longer vet whether someone is intelligent or not, because they can't tailor their curriculum to just intelligent people. Because if they do that, most people will fail. Most of the people going to that school will fail. If most of the people going to the school will fails, the school's reputation will be ruined. Why? It means they can't teach properly. And the truth is not that they can't teach properly, is that they can only teach geniuses. The amount of effort that they put in for geniuses. I mean, they tailor this curriculum so well to geniuses that everyone else will fail by default because only geniuses can pass their test. Only geniuses can pass their the whole school system. But because if the schools tailor these things to geniuses, guess what? They lose their backers because no one wants to go apply to the school that knowing full well that 90% of all of them will fail. The schools, the students themselves will not go to your school if they know that there's a 90% chance that they'll fail the test. There's a 90% chance that they'll never be able to graduate. So even the Ivy League schools that you call Ivy Leagues, these are just buzzwords. The truth is, only average, these schools are tailored for the average human being. They're not tailored for geniuses. The moment these things are tailored for geniuses, these schools go bankrupt because geniuses are very few and far between. And if they tailor the classes for the geniuses that are few and far between, the rest of the population gets denied. And there's not many schools that can stand the test of time when 90% or even 99% of their students fail. You understand? So all these, whether they call themselves Ivy League or they call themselves regular colleges or they call themselves community colleges or universities or whatever you want to call them or online universities, at the end of the day, it's all the same. They're just there to teach you. They're not there to judge how intelligent you truly are. They're just there to teach. And that's the point of school. The point of the school isn't to vet whether you're smart or not. The point of the school is to do their job, teach. That's the point of schools. We know that the majority of people aren't geniuses. So the schools aren't, you don't create schools to teach geniuses. Geniuses are so good at learning. It's almost, it's harder. It's so much easier for them to learn than everybody else. Schools are there to teach regular folks that can't learn. You don't teach geniuses. Geniuses are already so smart they can easily learn things by themselves. They don't even need to go to school to learn the things. Geniuses can just pick up a textbook, read it, and understand everything within it. These are geniuses. People like Einstein, that guy didn't even go to school. He dropped out. This is what a genius is. A genius does not even need to go to school to get, the same amount of, information that people who go to school get. They just need to buy the same textbooks that you buy and study it by themselves, and they'll understand far more than you do. That's why we need schools. Schools are there to help the lesser intelligent people, catch up to geniuses when it comes to learning. Teachers are there to teach you things you don't understand that geniuses can pick up very easily. A genius can learn, things by themselves so easily that, it makes the population, it just creates like a class system where geniuses understand it faster and the lesser intelligent people try to play catch up with them, But because of schools, that kind of evens the playing field when it comes to knowledge. Intelligent people can pick up knowledge very quickly. Very intelligent people can pick up knowledge even faster than regular intelligent people. And then you have, and then schools are there to teach the people who aren't that intelligent things that, they make it easier for people who aren't intelligent to learn. The teachers are there to help the people who aren't as intelligent to learn things that are hard to learn. So schools were never created to turn people intelligent. It was just there or to vet who's intelligent, who's not intelligent. The purpose of school is just to teach you knowledge, to make you understand things in life. Intelligent people are easy. It's easier for intelligent people to understand things in life than most people. So schools are there to teach the less intelligent people things that the more intelligent people already know. And that's exactly how schools are made. The intelligent people learn things, right? And then they teach the less intelligent people what they've learned. And that's how schools came to be. The more intelligent people learn things by themselves, right? They figure things out, how to build a house, how to build, a car, and then use their intelligence to teach, create books, write novels, do whatever they have to do to teach the less intelligent people exactly how they came up with that knowledge, how they figured that thing out. Intelligent peoples are the trendsetters. They figure things out on their own, and then they teach the less intelligent people how those things work. And that's how life works. The teachers are there to teach you what the intelligent people have already figured out. That's what teachers are there for. That's what schools are there for. Schools are there to teach you what the intelligent people have figured out. If an intelligent person creates a new body of science, a new field of science, it's his job to write down, what he's learned, and then the teachers will learn from him, right? And then they start teaching the less intelligent people around them that are trying to figure it out, how that thing works. And the job of a good teacher is how well they can, teach the students who are not as intelligent as the geniuses how these things work. So do not really think of a schools as people as places that determine how intelligent you are, because they're not. It's not the purpose of a school is not to teach you. Is not to make you intelligent to begin with. It's to teach the less intelligent people what the intelligence people it figured out on their own. Intelligent people figure things out on their own and then teach the less intelligent people how things work. And that's how society becomes more knowledgeable as a whole. So all the knowledge in schools have been figured out by intelligent people by themselves. There was not a single class for them to take when they figured this one out. They figured all these complicated things by themselves. No one taught them these things. But here they are teaching you. Why? Because doing this by yourself for most people is impossible. They're not as intelligent as the people who created these fields of studies. And that's where schools come in. Schools are there to teach you what you couldn't figure out by yourself. Because, so do not think of schools as places that teach you intelligence. It teaches you knowledge. Knowledge that intelligent geniuses, it teaches you knowledge that geniuses have figured out by themselves without going to school for it. You understand? So do not assume that just because someone went to an Ivy League school automatically makes it more intelligent than the average Joe. Because geniuses teach themselves. The knowledge that you have right now is from a genius who had to learn it by himself. He didn't have a single teacher teaching him. He was just like an average Joe that didn't go to school. He learned the field of study by himself without ever having anyone give him a single guidance on how this works, where to put this, where to put that. These guys learned them by themselves. They took the years, effort, and their higher intelligence to figure these things out. That way you don't have to spend all that time and energy trying to figure it out by yourself. And if you're not smart enough, no matter how much time and energy you spend, you'll never be able to figure it out. So while you're, assuming that all the people go to school now are geniuses, all the people that graduate from Ivy League schools are geniuses. They're geniuses right now, pioneering new fields of study that no one has ever, that can never be found in schools. Right now, they're geniuses, pioneering new fields of studies that can never be found in schools. Then they have to come back and start teaching you how those things work in school. You see? So the geniuses cannot be found in schools, and the things they're learning, the things they're discovering aren't things you can find in school right now. But in the future, you end up finding them in school because these geniuses have already pioneered, they've already laid the groundwork for how these things work. They spend their time and energy figuring out how these things work, so you don't have to. So this is one of the things I actually learned in life, is that the world really thinks that, the majority of people actually believe that intelligence and school is actually the same thing when it's not. The higher level of intelligence is not, you were born intelligent. Your parents gave you that intelligence. You should be thankful for your parents. If you're an intelligent person, you should be thankful for your parents for your intelligence. Not your school. Your school did not give you a single ounce of intelligence. Did not come from your school. It came directly from your parents. It came from your grandparents. It came from your great-great-grandparents. These are the people who gave you your intelligence that you have right now. Your parents gave you your intelligence, not any school in this world. Schools are not capable of giving intelligence. Otherwise, they'll be able to turn someone with Down syndrome into Einstein, but they're not capable of doing that. They'll be able to turn an ant into a genius human being. They'll be able to turn, an amoeba, a virus, into a genius human being, but they're incapable of doing that because there's a bottleneck. Schools are incapable of teaching you intelligence. They're incapable of raising your intelligence. They're only capable of teaching you knowledge and nothing else, which is completely different from intelligence. But that's it for this podcast episode. I'm getting tired. I'll see you guys later.